Well, that's got to be a new record for me being quiet for an extended period of time. Are you kidding me? Ugh. It took so much self-control to not talk. But I hope you enjoyed that soft opening. We had a chance to see the boys over by the fireplace that I got for them for Christmas. And then just take a little walk through our little town. And kind of the last shot you saw of one of our buildings was the workshop. And then we came over to this beautiful machine, which is from 1961. And this particular machine came to the workshop from a real fun lady, and she goes by the name of Toots. That right away kind of tells you, I mean, she is just a playful gal, and she and her husband brought this machine to the workshop some time ago, shared some of those shots on Facebook. They had taken it to a local service center, one that I actually know of, and had been charged over $200 for a complete service and a deep cleaning. And as you'll see, if you don't do Facebook, as you see when we pop over to Facebook, they definitely did not get their money's worth. Matter of fact, I would go so far as to say they were taken advantage of. And so we made it right here at the workshop. And it's a shame when that happens. And I hear it more often than I'd like to, where people go to a place to get their vintage machine taken care of, and it's not treated with the honor that it deserves. And that's not the way it's supposed to be, right? So this machine, and I did reach out to my good friend Hans over in Norway, because again, he's cataloging all the dates of the Swedish Beauties. He's gotten some original documents, and so I sent him the serial number on this particular machine, and I said, Hans, I'm guessing 1960s. He goes, yep, 1961 is when this particular machine came on the scene. And following it, and you've seen another machine similar to this on this channel before, following this machine, which is a 19E, came the 19E Special. And the difference between those two machines is the 19 Special, the 19E Special, comes with a cam adjuster on the rear of the machine. It's going to be right around in this area right here. And it's going to be a little knob on the back of there that allows you to access a blind hem stitch, a stretch stitch, a zigzag, and so you've got a little bit more versatility in that later model, the 19E Special, than you do on this 19E, which only has a straight and a zigzag. And we'll kind of walk around the machine real quick for any of you that are real new to this channel. I got to zoom in on my little cup first, and then I'll move it out of the way. I just came across this cup, and I thought it was a real true statement. I thought it was cute. It says, in the cookies of life, friends are the chocolate chips. Isn't that true? Isn't that true when you think about those special friends that you have in your life? Aren't they the sweetness that comes into your life? I mean, the recipe of life would be so bland without those special friends. And I've got a number of special friends that I've met through the work that I do, including that really beautiful card that I showed you in complete silence that came from my good friend Super B out in Las Vegas. Just a thoughtful card where she decided she wanted to drop a Christmas card in the mail, and her words really touched my heart. She says, "Hi Scott, it's been said that the best teachers entertain their students. That could certainly be said of you. Thanks for all you do. Merry Christmas, Super B." And we really do try to do that in this classroom, don't we? We try to make it a place of learning, but we also try to make it a place of fun. A playroom, right? I've been to so many sewing channels where you almost feel like somebody has died, because it's just so somber and so boring that you just go, holy mackerel, there's got to be something more exciting about what we do. Trying to find another song. There's got to be something more exciting about what we do than almost like you feel like you know it's a sad moment, and it should be an exciting moment. Sewing is an amazing art, and it's an amazing dynamic when you get behind that machine and you create things. So the first one we heard on the song talking about dynamic is Home for the Holidays. The second one we're going to hear right now is called Christmas Chores. And I'm going to turn it down a little bit so we can begin to jump into things, but have some nice holiday Christmas type music in the background. Let's walk around this machine a little bit, and again, for folks real new to the channel, I will point some things out, and I will also move this really cool cup, which I think I'll probably give to Toots when she comes to pick up this machine with her husband at the workshop. That kind of fits a lady by the name of Toots, doesn't it? She seems like a chocolate chip gal, doesn't she? So we'll zoom down by this badge mark right here, and you can see it says Zigzag, where if we were looking at the one that is the 19E Special, it would say Special, where Zigzag is written on the machine there, next to the real cool Royal badge mark. I just love that badge mark, don't you? So moving up the machine, right there, that first little knob we come to is to drop the feed dogs. So you would just rotate that clockwise to make the feed dogs drop so you could do freehand embroidery, or maybe you're going to try to sneak a little bit thicker material underneath the presser foot than will fit normally, and so you end up turning that to drop the feed dogs. And then just rotate it back to the left when you're done. Right here we have stitch width control. And you can see we have a range of 0 to 4. And also we have that cool little metal knob, or not knob, excuse me, cool little metal tab on top of the knob. And that's going to allow you to set start and stop points for buttonholes. That's all that little tab does. And now we're up to this knob, which does not have a tab. And this is our stitch length, and we're going to be able to go anywhere from 0 all the way, and I'll actually turn it for you to show you. We're on 4 right now. We can go all the way down to 0. So it's a huge range, and if this had the features that a lot of the 21 series does, where you can do cam generated decorative type sewing, your set point on that would be right around in the range of 0.3 to 0.5, somewhere in that range right there. But for most of our sewing today, we're going to be sewing at the largest stitch length setting, which is going to be right around 4. We might mess around with it a little bit, but we'll probably be doing a lot of our stitch offs on 4. And then obviously the button right in the middle is to sew in reverse. And this particular model, when you push it in, if you push it in and up slightly, it will actually lock in place as it's designed to do, so that you don't have to hold it in when you're reverse sewing. And then if you push it again, it will release. And if you push it straight in, instead of, in and up a little bit, you can kind of go in and out with it very quickly. If you want to, basically lock off a seam or something like that. And if we move over here, we've got a knob that is dedicated strictly to the purpose of needle position, which for many folks is a critical element or critical control for their sewing machine. They really, really want to have that needle position. So even all the way back in 1961, this Viking Husqvarna model 19E came with that beautiful feature. Again, the Swedish are real smart, and they tend to be real progressive in getting things done, getting things ready. We can also look at threading of this machine, which the thread points on this, unlike most of the Viking Husqvarnas that you'll see on this channel, the plate that mounts to the back, that is a maintenance access point. is recessed down probably about 10 millimeters lower than it normally is. So the spools, when they're on the machine, they almost kind of disappear. And I'd love to tell you that the Swedish did that, just so when you're looking at the machine, you look at the sexy lines more than you do the spools kind of sticking up on the back there. But I think it was just a design feature. They ended up putting that plate lower down because it was not going to have that knob adjuster on the back like the 19E Special has. And that's just the way it ended up being positioned. So it's just I mean, like all of the Swedish Beauties, they just have those lines and those beauty marks. And even these over here where Toots's machine has some battle scars. They're more beauty marks than they are battle scars, quite honestly. Just a beautiful machine. And since we're over there, I'll just kind of stay in that area. You'll notice if you're brand new to this channel and you know nothing about Swedish Beauties, we've got a real small balance wheel, and it's tucked into the body of the machine. Again, they want to have those sexy lines, those curves, without something jutting out and kind of taking away from the beauty and the sexy lines of the machine. So that's the way that balance wheel is designed. And you'll notice there's no clutch release on it, because on the Swedish Beauties, again, you're going to have an auto disengagement where when you put a bobbin right on here to wind a bobbin, it's going to push a little tab in, and it's going to automatically disengage that clutch so that you don't have to worry about turning a knob or anything like that. And if you're going to be winding a bobbin on this machine, I'll show you this before the threading. You're going to come off the back of the machine. You're going to see that other little spool pin kind of sticking up there. Right adjacent to that spool pin, there's going to be a small little thread guide. It's on the back panel. You can't see it. But you're going to come off that spool with a spool of thread through that little thread guide. Then you're going to drop down. Drop down further. You're going to drop down to this right over here, this additional thread guide. And this is a thread guide and a tensioner. And when you come off the top, you're going to bring the thread underneath that little finger around that tensioner right here, and then shoot it back towards the front of the machine. But you want to do it that way so that you maintain even tension, and that thread doesn't skip off of there when you're trying to wind a bobbin. So again, you kind of come around that finger underneath it, over the top of that tensioner, and then bring it back towards that bobbin so you can wind it. And in that same area, we also have that incredible slow gear that so many people love about the Swedish Beauties. The slow gear, if you're new to the channel, what it's going to do is it's going to take that motor from full power down to 1/5. It's going to basically almost like a governor on a car. It kind of restricts or it harnesses back that power so that you can't drive as fast as you want to drive. And you do that by just grabbing this little black ring right here and pull it straight out. And then when you're done sewing with the slow gear, you just push it right back in. And when you do, you'll hear a little click. We'll probably do some slow sewing today, so you'll be able to listen for that click when it re-engages that clutch again. But just a wonderful, wonderful feature on the machine. And again, it is not to increase power on the machine. It's actually to reduce power and to slow that motor down, to ratchet it back so that you can have more control and you can make tighter turns, etc. So off of the spool, we're going to come right over here, right over to this thread guide. Then we're going to come right across the top of the machine, through this other thread guide, straight down through the tension discs. And you have two choices, obviously, because this machine is capable of dual needle sewing. You can either go behind this little arrow divider, which is actually a center tension plate that divides the two discs so that you can do dual needle sewing. So you can either go behind it or you can go in front of it. It's totally up to you. It's going to function exactly the same way whether you bring the thread in front of that little arrow or behind it. And again, if you wanted the dual needle sew, obviously you would bring one thread behind it, one thread in front of it, and then you would be able to use a twin needle on this machine as well. So we go through the discs, we come around, you'll see that little take-up spring right over here. We're going to come around the discs and we're going to go over the top of that take-up spring. Then we're going to go underneath a little thread guide that's just below the tension control right here. Then we go up to the take-up arm. Let me widen the shot a little bit. So there's a little thread guide. You can't really see it, it's kind of blocked. As a matter of fact, let me do this for benefit of brand new folks or someone that just got a Swedish Beauty and they're like, I have no idea how to thread this thing. Let's just pop off real quick and we'll take a look at this. And I can kind of retrace my steps real quick just to do it. So spool, thread guide, thread guide. We then come either in front of or behind that little metal arrow thing. Again, that's going to be the center disc separator that allows you to do dual needle sewing. So you can go behind it or in front of it, it doesn't matter. You're then going to go underneath the tensioner. You're going to come up over our take-up spring. You're then going to go underneath this thread guide right here, come up to the take-up arm, all the way back down, thread guide right there, thread guide also right there. Right here, you want to make sure that you go behind that little metal piece right there. Can you see that? You kind of come from the back and then slide it in so your thread is going to be centered as it's going down to the needle, and then you're going to thread this from front to back. So, and the other thing I'll show you just real quick, it's kind of hard to see it because I've got this extension bed on. I don't know if we'll be able to look at it or not. We'll give it a try. Yeah, I may not be able to do it. Oh, there we got it. Yay! So the other thing you're going to see underneath here, I just opened that little door, is another incredible feature on this machine that even goes all the way back to this model. Or I shouldn't say all the way back to the model, because a lot of the models we look at are from the 1950s and this is 1961. But this also has the jam-free raceway as well, which means that behind that bobbin case, the hook is going to be able to, when the machine is running, it's going to be able to agitate left and right and up and down simultaneously while the machine is running, which allows that thread to pass through that raceway more easily so that it's not going to jam. Even if you run heavier thread through the machine, you're going to generally have very good success in being able to do that. And then also we have this incredible, obviously we have this incredible extension bed as well, which is such a coveted feature of the Swedish Beauties. It gives you a huge amount of workspace. You've got a lot of harp space area as well right here. And again, if you're real new to sewing, or if you're new to this channel, and even some veterans have reached out to me and said, I had no idea that was the case. But if you ever hear the term harp space used, it's talking about the workspace that you have between the needle and the pillar, and then from the bed up to the bottom of the arm. That's going to be your harp space, along with obviously, you know, the space from front to back. So just think of it kind of like a box, needle to pillar, front to back, and bed to arm. That's going to be your harp space. All of this extra space over here is going to be your workspace as well, obviously, but it's not your harp space. So if anyone ever tells you the harp space is from the end of the bed to the pillar, they're mistaken. It's from the center of the needle to the pillar, front to back, and then from the bed up to the bottom of the arm. That's going to be your harp space, right in this little window where we can see the Rolls Royce, and we can see all kinds of other cool people like John Lennon. And this lady's name escapes me. Let me peek real quick. Oh yeah, Donna Reed. That's Donna Reed on the left. Lived from 1921 to 1986, and her career spanned 40. Here, let's just show you. You can read it along with me. Her career spanned 40 movies over 40 years. So she basically did a movie a year. Beautiful lady, though, isn't she? See her sitting down to her machine right there. And from the back, it's hard to tell, but it almost looks like one of the Slantomatics. Maybe a 404 or 403. Hard to say. But that's Donna right through there. Donna and John Lennon. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, and also my really cool gift, which could also serve as a weapon, from my good friend Annette down in Cypress, Texas. Haven't used it yet, but I know I will. And hopefully I don't have to use it for self-defense. That would be horrible, wouldn't it? So, and then also inside of the faceplate, I'll just show you real quick if you're real new to the channel or new to Swedish Beauties. This is where you're going to be able to adjust presser foot pressure. This little disc right here, let me point with the other finger, it's probably easier. This little disc right here can rotate either to the rear or to the front. If you rotate it to the rear, it's going to increase presser foot pressure. If you rotate it to the front, it's going to decrease. And then this little tab right here, you can push it in and it'll cause this to drop down, and then you'll be able to basically manipulate that presser foot up and down, push it up and down. If you want to sneak some super thick material in there when this is in the down position, that whole presser foot bar is free moving, so you're able to move it up and down. And some of these are set up backwards. Some of them, to increase presser foot pressure, you have to rotate this to the front. So you'll have to look at your specific model and decide how yours is set up. They went both ways with it, for whatever reason, maybe just to have fun. So, or to mess with people. You never know with those Swedes. Those doggone Swedes. Oh, I love the Swedish people. They're beautiful people, aren't they? And you can hear the quality as soon as we close it, right? Just gonna, it's beautifully made, beautifully engineered machine. And obviously, I took the liberty while it was in the workshop. Toots had it in here. I decided that I would try to get my finger in there, which is really tough. Holy mackerel! When that thing closes, it closes for good. Never be able to change the bulb again, for goodness sakes. Maybe I'll have to adjust that. That poor Toots is not going to be able to open that sucker up either. So we obviously have one of our LED lights in there, which does a fabulous job of lighting the bed and the workspace very nicely. I think I'll just push it up that far. If I push it all the way in, it's going to be impossible. Yeah, that really closes tight. Holy mackerel. All right, so what else? Anything else that I need to show you on the machine? I'll just show you the back real quick since we're kind of like in this area. So this is the little panel right here. It's held on by a single bolt right there in the upper left-hand corner if you're facing the back of the machine. And you can take that off. There's several, probably about 20 service points inside of there. And then this panel comes off as well for servicing purposes. There's a single bolt here as well. That panel can come off so you can service the rear area adjacent to the faceplate. So, and again, right here on the back, right around in this area right here, is where that knob would be on the 19E Special. That would allow you to access, excuse me, would allow you to access several different cam functions on that particular 19E Special model. So, all right, let's get back up on the tripod. If I can get this frog out of my throat, I'll probably get something to drink real quick. And I'm going to zoom in towards the needle because we're going to do a little bit of sewing now. And I'll put a little bit more music on for us as well. So if I didn't mention it yet, and I don't believe that I did, this 19E comes with a 1.5 amp motor. Holly Days. We're going to do Holly Days next. Yeah, I feel like I'm riding a horse. All right, let me get a drink of water and let's keep on moving forward here. So there are some of the other Series 19 machines that Husqvarna put out that do have a 1 amp motor, not a 1.5. This one comes again with a 1.5 amp motor. You know, you've got the Type 8Es, you've got the 8E Type 8Es, you've got the a variety of other 8 Series machines also that are going to be a little bit smaller motors, and there also are some 19 Series machines as well, which are going to have smaller motors as well. That made no sense at all. But there's big motors, there's littler motors. There we go. Oh, it's either too early or too late. I don't know which. We'll figure it out. Let me do a sew-off, and then I'm going to show you the upper tension control, and we'll take it apart real quick because a lot of people are intimidated. The Singer upper tension controls are fairly easy to figure out. The controls on these Swedish Beauties are a little bit more intimidating. All right, let's start with a single layer of genuine elk hide. And again, if you're really, really new to this channel and you're like, elk, what? This is leather, but it's from an elk. And it's been chemically processed. And you can see from the side, it's about 3 to 5 ounces of leather. So nothing thin about this stuff at all. It's very, 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 very sturdy leather if you want to use it for different sewing projects. So we're going to buzz down a single layer, and then I'm going to look at the prospect of adding a second layer to it. As a matter of fact, I'll offset my stitching a little bit so we can see it more easily. And I might just put these back to back. I don't know. We'll see. All right, let's see how we do with a single layer of genuine elk hide. Here we go. It's kind of heavy-footed there. What's going on? I got my slippers on. It should be gentle and slow. Well, I picked up a Q-tip at the same time. That was kind of exciting. So that was our single layer of elk hide, which obviously, and I wasn't even close to going down on the pedal on this. This 19E got it done so easily, it's almost ridiculous how easily it just went through a single layer of this elk hide. And again, elk hide is, because it's chemically processed, is going to be a lot tougher to get through than many other leather types. It just is. It's going to be a lot tougher to get through. So let's zoom in and take a look at these stitches real quick, and then we'll add our second layer. So as we look at these going across, notice the top of the leather as well so you can see the thickness factor. Aren't those gorgeous? The spacing, the formation, the integrity of the stitch. Beautiful, beautiful stitching. And again, a single layer would be enough to demonstrate the strength of this machine, but I always like pushing the limits. You all know that. So we're going to add a second layer now to this single layer of elk hide, and we'll see how Toots 19E with that 1.5 amp motor does on this next sew off. So that was Holly Dazed. Before that we did Christmas chores, and then we had Home for the Holidays. And now we're going to do, and this is for all my New Yorkers, because whenever someone thinks about New York, they always, always, always think about Central Park. It's such a, I mean, it's even used in films quite often. Even in the fun Christmas movie, what is it called? Elf. They do a scene in Central Park with the Central Park police and all blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. It's just fun. So let's hear what Central Park sounds like. All right, let me turn this around and we'll look at that lock stitch, which on this nap is going to be a little bit tough to see, but we'll do our best. And I could be using my thread holders that Maddie sent me from Florida, but I don't think I need to use them quite yet. Beautiful lock stitching as well. A little bit hard to see through that nap, but you can see him peeking through there. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. Getting kind of crazy with the zoom there. It's going to be zooming all the way out any second. All right. Let's add that second layer and see how we do. And we're just going to have this soft Christmas style music in the background. All right, so let's see how I can do this. I don't know if I've ever tried sewing it back to back. We could try doing that. What's the worst that could happen? I could break a needle, right? That would make it a lot easier to see that lock stitch. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. That's fairly thick too when you do it that way. Holy mackerel. Offset that because we got our stitching on the other side. That was a cute piece, wasn't it? It kind of just ended, it kind of drifted off. So now, if you're curious about the thickness, look at this from the side. I've got my screen the wrong way. So we're looking at about 10 to 12 ounces now of genuine elk hide. And again, this is a real strong machine. It's 1.5 amps. But this is the big boy sewing, or the big girl sewing right now. When you're talking about this level of thickness with chemically processed elk hide, we've reached a new level of crazy. A new level of crazy. So I'm going to give it my best. We'll see how this machine does with 2 layers of heavy grade, genuine elk hide. Not heavy grade. Blah, blah. I was thinking of denim. What the heck? All right, let's give this a try. We're going to lay down a straight stitch through 2 layers of this. Keep your fingers and toes crossed, please. All right, here we go. Wow. That was nearly impossible. Just don't know how we made it through there. Can't hold on! Yeah, that was doggone ridiculous easy, wasn't it? Ridiculously easy. This machine is embarrassing me. It's like, well, Scott, you spent like 12 hours on me. You went through 126 steps. What do you expect me to do? Struggle with it? Not going to happen, pal. Not going to happen. So let's take a look at that top stitch first of all. This is going to be our top stitch for what we just sewed with the 2 layers. You kind of look at that from the side again. You want to have a perspective of what we just went through, which is crazy. So this, and this is where I might benefit from Maddie's thread holder, which somehow got a glue dot on the bottom of it. Okay, that was cool. All right, let's take a look at this. So this again is our last top stitch that we just laid down through the 2 layers of genuine elk hide. Not heavy duty elk hide. Unless it's like a really, really big elk. Maybe then it's heavy duty. I don't know. But you can look at these, well, Oh, I should plug my camera back in. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so you can look at this and readily see that it laid down a gorgeous, gorgeous top stitch. The spacing, the formation is just absolutely spot on. Kind of move across it nice and slow so you can look at that stitch. Perfect formation, alignment is spot on, not a single miss stitch. And again, I'm not using a leather needle. I'm not using a leather needle to go through these 2 layers of genuine elk hide. And yet, this machine, Toots's machine, it's kind of fun to say that, isn't it? Toots's machine. Toots's machine got it done just like a hiccup. And laid down stitching that is absolutely what? If you said brag-worthy, you're absolutely right. Those are brag-worthy stitches. They just are. And again, you look at, you can't really see it from the top. Let's come out and look at that lock stitch now. Actually, we'll be able to look at both lock stitches. Well, that's not true. We'll be able to look at one lock stitch and one top stitch. And I've got to see which one is which. Okay, so when I turn this around, I'm going to turn it around just like that, and the top stitch we're looking at is going to be the lock stitch that we just laid down through the 2 layers of genuine elk hide. The bottom one, the bottom row, is going to be our top stitch from the original single layer sew off, if that makes sense. I think it makes sense. So we're going to look at them both at the same time. Again, the top row is going to be our lock stitch for the 2 layers of genuine elk hide we just did. The bottom row is going to be our top stitch from the first sew off we did with a single layer of elk hide. If you follow that, you get an A in the class today. And speaking of that, hold on. We're officially in class now. I just bumped the camera, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So again, top row, lock stitch from 2 layers of elk hide. Bottom row, top stitch from the first sew off with a single layer. Let's see what we see. Folks, those are gorgeous lock stitches. I'm just going to isolate on those for a second. That is a, look at that on the top. You can kind of see it there. We put those 2 pieces of elk hide together, back to back, so we'd be able to see this lock stitch that we're looking at right now much easier. And the formation, the stitch integrity, the stitch spacing of this lock stitch through 2 layers of genuine elk hide. 2 layers! It's page 34. It's page 34, as I always joke with Emma about on live premieres. It's page 34 of the perfect lock stitch. It just is. And through all of that leather. It's crazy. Just absolutely ridiculously beautiful stitching on the part. Whether it's the top row, and I'm going to stop talking. Okay, now I can talk. Thank goodness. So whether it's the top row, which represents the lock stitch for those 2 rows of elk, or those 2 layers of elk hide we did, or the bottom row, which is again that top stitch from the first stitch off we did on the single layer of elk hide, folks, it just doesn't get any better than this. Take a look at it yourselves right now on this live premiere. We just did this. We didn't stitch them off camera, either on this machine or some other machine like some people will do to be deceptive. I just did it live for you right now, the single layer and then the 2 layers of genuine elk hide. And Toots's 19E from 1961 just did it with such ease. It's absolutely ridiculous. We didn't use the slow gear. I was like about 15% of the way, if that, down on the foot control, and it just went through these 2 layers of genuine elk hide like it was a walk in the park, like it was a walk in the park in New York. The song we just played, Central Park. Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than this, and it just doesn't get any easier than this. So, I don't know. We should probably just call it quits right now. I mean, I'm not going to be able to, if I can't impress you with 2 layers of genuine elk hide that this Swedish Beauty just sewed, like it was done. What's next? What's next? Give me a challenge, right? Right, guys? Give me a challenge. I mean, come on. Look at, they're laughing back there. They're going, "You are so goofy, Scott. You are so goofy." Well, whatever. It's a playroom and a classroom, so I'm going to keep on being goofy. But look at how thick that stuff is, folks. 10 to 12 layers of genuine elk hide. Well, you saw it. You saw it. To the back, it's a pass. It's a definite pass. Oh my gosh, that was so easy. That was so easy! Jiminy crickets. All right, so what are we going to sew next? Why don't we, first of all, put on Christmas Village, which kind of is how I opened this premiere. I wanted to show you the village that Mr. Bean and Herr Obermeister and Reggie White and the pirate and the captain, they all kind of hang out over here. Oh, someone shut your fireplace off. You guys are getting cold. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, guys. So, these guys love to hang out in this little village over here. You've seen it before, I think. Hey, Dr. Singer. This beautiful little village over here. We've got a bakery, and I think we have a candle. Oh no, we have a candle maker on the other side of the village over here. I think that's our candle maker in that building right over there. But these guys love being in this little Christmas village, kind of going around, and they'll visit the engraver, and they'll pop in the bakery and grab a Danish. Mr. Bean loves Danishes. Reggie does too. You can kind of see that. You got to work out more, Reggie. You're starting to put some on there, buddy. And then they always pop by the workshop and say hello. Yeah. And the mailbox doesn't have my name on it. It has Captain Smith's name on it because I bought that little house. Where's the captain? Where is the captain? Captain! Where are you? There he is. That's Captain Smith right there. The old salty dog. He used to own that house that the workshop is in now. And he sold it to me. But I left his name up there because everybody knows it as Captain Smith's house. Kind of see that. He's got his little... Well, you can't really see it. It's behind there and all that stuff. But he's got a little boat out front. And he's got his little life preserver. And then I added my sewing machine above the door. Yeah. I know I'm getting distracted. It's what happens when you're an adult in a 9-year-old's body. Or wait, switch, reverse that. A 9-year-old and an adult, well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. You'll know what I mean. All right, so let's do Christmas Village now. Christmas Village. Oh yeah, I'm liking this. Probably saying in the chat, turn it up a little bit louder. We want to hear it. Beautiful song. All right, let's do some more sewing. What should we do next? Let's do some more leather. And again, I'm not using a leather needle, folks. Don't ask me if I'm using a leather needle, because I'm not. Here we go. Why don't we try our slow gear? What do you think? Let's try our slow gear. So what we have here is a single layer of genuine cowhide. Nothing super thin about this stuff. You can kind of see it from the side. probably about 3 ounces of leather. And we're going to sew it with our slow gear. Here we go. Having to pull that stuff to make that turn. You can see the benefit of that slow gear. It just really takes that power down. I don't know if I'm going to make this turn or not. It's going to be really close. Holy mackerel. Did you see me basically stretching the leather? Because that presser foot is trying to hold it in place and feed it over those feed dogs, and I'm like, no, I want to manipulate it. Now, if I were sewing with it in regular speed, I would not be able to make a turn like that. There's just no way. Down to the finish! And I did have that all the way, almost all the way down on the foot controller at the very end there, so you can just see how effective that slow gear is in ratcheting back that power. Taking it again from full power all the way down to 1/5, which is a huge drop. I mean, that's a huge drop, but it really is an essential drop if you're doing sewing like I was just trying to do there, in making turns like that. And look at the stitching. It's just evident how beautiful Toots' 19E is sewing right now. That was fun. Periodically, my computer will say, "Hey, dude, we got an update. We got an update." Does yours do that too? Does your computer make funny little sounds when it's trying to tell you it needs you to help it do something, or it needs to get your permission to do something? Mine does. Mine does that all the time. And usually right in the middle of a live premiere. It's like, "Yo, dude!" I think my computer is from New York. Seriously, I really do. I think it's from New York. That's another thing, kind of like Central Park. When you think of New York, you think of yo, don't you? I do. I think of yo. Kind of like a Vinny Guido Farducci type person. Okay. Got one more thread to trim off here. And I'm going to definitely need my... definitely going to need my thread holder, my sew-off holder, for this one, because this is going to be a lot bulkier. Let's do that. So we're going to first of all look at the top stitch, and then we're going to check out the lock stitch. I know. Stop wiping it off, Scott. It's already beautiful. It's already shiny. The heck? I like that Christmas Village one enough. I'm going to play it one more time. And if you don't like that, then turn your volume off. All right, let's take a look at these stitches. Oh, we already are. That was so efficient. See that? You can be silly in a classroom / playroom and still get a lot of stuff done. I know, they're perfect. Even where I was like stretching the heck out of the leather, trying to pull the leather to make those crazy turns. Goodness gravy. It don't get no better than that, Mama. Look at that one where I was like yanking the leather. That's not the machine, that's me like going, "Ah, come on, turn, turn, turn!" Don't laugh, Scott, while you're holding the camera. I think we already went around there. I'm going to get dizzy. You're probably going to get dizzy too. Let's look at the totality of the stitching. Isn't that beautiful? Let's flip it around and look at the lock stitch. That's it? That's disappointingly short, isn't it? Come on, the song is called what? Christmas Village? What is the village? That's, well, yeah, our village is small here, so okay, all right, I'll let it slide. Now, why under Christmas songs do they have something called the Prize Fighter? The next one is called the Prize Fighter. We'll put that on once we look at these lock stitches, what we can see anyway through that nap. He's going to attempt a very difficult dive. It's approximately a 7 out of 10. He's taking form right now, getting ready to jump. Yeah, right there especially, you can see them popping through. And then they disappear. They disappear in the nap. I don't know if I come off the tripod if you're going to be able to see them easier or not. Let's give it a go. Because it's really, really tough through that nap to see it, isn't it? Well, let's see what we can see. Yeah, even off the tripod, it's going to be super duper tough. Let's take it off of that holder and see if we can bring it down here and see if that makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, we can kind of see more when we take it off of the holder and kind of lay it almost, I'll lay it kind of flat on the workbench. This again is our lock stitch. Well, you get the idea. You get the idea. You kind of almost see it, you can see the outline of it more from a distance, can't you? But that is a gorgeous lock stitch as well. If we turn it over again, this is our top stitch. I'll just kind of go across it real quick. Absolutely beautiful. And that slow gear was so essential in allowing me to accomplish this without having to really meter out the power through that foot controller. Because even if you have really good control over the foot controller, which depending on my foot gear I might or might not, it's going to be a little bit of a battle. But when you employ that slow gear, look at what you're able to do. Absolutely fabulous. Well, that's a pass as well, obviously. That's a total pass. I'm going to put that back with our 2 layers of elk hide in the rear. It's kind of like we're creating a little pile, which we are. And this is the pile on the live premiere. Look at what I did off camera, getting this machine prepared as I was making adjustments and fine-tuning the machine. Let's see if I can get my hand on it. Yeah, I know. This is all off camera. This is that. This is 2 layers of that vegan type leather. It's a vegan style leather where it's got some leather, but it's got vinyl. It's got who knows what it has in here, all kinds of stuff. But it's kind of cool. It's super cool. And Toots' 19E did a fabulous job with it. And then I did a single layer of elk hide off camera. I did 2 layers of elk hide off camera. I know. Insane. Then I did a single layer of cowhide, similar to the big one that we just sewed with the slow gear. Then I did 2 layers of of what is this? Canvas. Did 2 layers of canvas. And you can see where I was making adjustments. See how we were way off. Way off. Way off. Top stitch was even off a little bit where that bobbin case was not doing a decent job. Then as we fine-tuned it, it started to come back into form. And that's what I do off camera that you really don't see is all of these phases. After I've taken this machine through 126 steps to service it and fine-tune it and get it running just as well as I could possibly get it running, all of this has to happen behind the scenes as well before I feel like I'm prepared for that premiere. You got to be prepared for a premiere, you know what I mean? So I went through all of these. You know, we're doing denim. Did denim as well. More canvas. More denim. All kinds of denim. So, you know, where if you take it into a service center and if they do one sew off on it that they end up leaving underneath the presser foot, they're really feeling generous that day. But this is what I do off camera. And we've already done 2 additional sew-offs. Look at that. We've already done 2 additional sew-offs off cam or on camera rather. Blah blah blah. 2 layers of elk hide, a single layer of genuine cowhide that we just buzzed around with the slow gear. And now we're still going to be doing most, maybe not all, but we're going to be doing most of these sew-offs as well on live camera with Toots' 19E. I should have had coffee before this premiere. I should have had coffee. And I thought, oh, I'll just have coffee afterwards. Big mistake, buddy. Big mistake. So we've got some more of that vegan style leather that we're probably going to be sewing next. Which again, whenever you incorporate leather and vinyl together, it makes it a whole lot more difficult. But we've already, after I got done with all my work on Toots' machine, we've already done it once, way down there on the bottom. So I don't think that her machine will have any difficulty at all doing it. And here you can see this is Toots' original owner's manual. And it didn't have the E on it. I think that bothered her. So she wrote an E next to the 19, just so it was like, hey, that's the right manual. See? See what I mean? Yo, Vinny, look it! She wrote an E on it! Yeah, what's her manual? She can write an E, she can write an A, B, C, D. It doesn't matter. I wouldn't do that because then it'll really get confusing. But you can see here, it is the correct manual because it's not saying 19E special. It's saying Viking Husqvarna Zigzag. So, all right, let's get back to work. Because not having coffee, I'm running on 1 cylinder right now, and it could get ugly. It could get ugly any second now. Not to mention my throat is scratchy because I didn't have my coffee either. All right, I hear you, Dr. Singer. Stop whining. You get your coffee. Get your coffee. All right, so let's do some more sewing and less whining, Scott. Coffee is an essential thing, though, in the morning, isn't it? Any of you that don't really feel like you're alive or human until you've had your first cup of coffee, type it in the chat, would you? So I don't feel like I'm alone over here whining and groaning that I haven't had any coffee yet before this premiere. And, you know, just so I know that you're with me. Type it in there. Yeah, I love coffee, smiley face, whatever you want to type in to give me a sense of unity. I need unity. Everyone else is shaking their finger right now like saying, hey, you're the tough guy, right? Come on. You're bench pressing Model 66s. You're special forces, all that kind of doodad stuff. Come on. Stop whining, dude. Just get it done. Get her done. Yeah, well, I'm going to get some water done right now first. Oh, yeah, that helps a little bit. It's not coffee, but it's close. All right, let's do some vegan-style leather now. That stuff that's a combination of leather and vinyl. And no, I'm not going to play Christmas Village again. I won't do it. Let's do Prize Fighter. Prize Fighter, whatever that is. I have no idea. All right, I'm seeing people like from the 50s dancing right now. Are you too? I am totally seeing people from the 50s dancing. Yep. All right, let's do some vegan leather. And this is super thin stuff. It's probably like only like about 1 ounce maybe of thickness. But when we combine 2 of them, you're talking about probably around 2 to 3 ounces of vegan leather. And I think what we'll do is we'll put them back to back. I already have them back to back. How efficient. And we'll sew this with a regular speed, not with a slow gear. I'll kind of go down and around. Yep, I got my slow gear off. Okay, let's give this a try. 2 layers of vegan style leather. Here we go. Yeah, I'll stop there. I could go further across, but I don't want to risk it. All right, here we go to the finish. Whoops, I'm crooked. Hold on. There we go. I'm not going to close the box. Rebel! And I didn't mention, but this is the first time officially that we had a 19E on the channel. We've had a 19E special a couple of times, but not a 19E from 1961. So this is kind of cool also to be able to do that, which I think is kind of always nice to have a first, right? So thanks to Toots, I got me a 19E Zigzag machine on the channel. Yeah. All right, let's just lean it against here because I think we're going to be okay. See how that the vinyl part of it kind of causes it to twist? All right. I think I will use the sew-off holder on this. Reel it in a little bit. All right, let's take a look at these stitches. And this little fireplace I got for Herr Obermeister, Mr. Bean, Reggie, the captain, and the pirate, it actually emits, you can't obviously smell it. We don't have smell-o-vision yet, but you can't smell it in the video, but it actually emits an odor that smells just like a campfire. Honest to gosh, it's just crazy. All right, let's take a look at these stitches through our 2 layers of vegan style leather. So this is our top stitch, which absolutely, actually we can almost look at both of them at the same time. Much easier to see that lower row, isn't it? I know what it is partly too, though. I've got to angle that just a little bit more. There we go. It's amazing when you're shooting a live premiere, getting the right angles can make all the difference in the world in being able to see that stitching. Let's look at the bottom row first. I keep drifting that way anyway. So the spacing, the formation through these 2 layers of vegan style leather is absolutely spot on. Beautiful stitching. If we came off the tripod, you'd be able to see it even better. But that's some really, really nice looking stitching. I can actually angle that even a little bit more. End up pushing the thing right off of the bed here any second now. You can kind of catch a glimpse of that on top there. It's not an easy peasy sew off, especially because of that vinyl factor in this vegan style leather. There on the bottom you really have a clear view of it. It's a little bit harder to see it on top. But the stitching when you're in front of it looks identical. So let's come out on the shot. We'll look at the totality of the stitching. which is absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. Let's turn around and look at that lock stitch. And I can see with this leather vinyl mix that our upper tension is actually winning the battle a little bit more. It's got more pop factor than the top stitch, so what we would have to do is what? In order to even those out a little bit more, if we're going to be sewing a lot of this vegan style leather. What do we need to do to even it out? Right now we're looking at the lock stitch, which has more of a pop factor. If we want to give a little bit more pop to that top stitch, what do we need to do? Type it in the chat, would you? I've talked about this a couple times, and people, even experienced sewers, will still struggle with this. They'll still struggle with, okay, I've got one stitch that is presenting a little bit more than the other, and I want to even it out. What do I need to do? Is it a matter of messing around with the bobbin case? Is it a matter of messing around with the upper tension? What do we need to do in this case? While you're thinking about that for just a second and typing it into the chat, I will put on a little bit more music for us. So again, we're looking at the lock stitch right now through these 2 layers of vegan style leather. We've got a beautiful lock stitch, but it's a little bit over accentuated. We want to take a little bit away from the lock stitch, give a little bit more to the top stitch. What do we do? So that was Prize Fighter. Let's put on Christmas Homecoming, and then I'm going to give you the answer. And also get another drink of water, so I don't have a froggy throat. Okay, starting with the basics. For any of you that are real new to the channel, or for some of you that have been following me for a while, but it's still a little bit of a struggle point, and I totally get it. I totally get it, because the whole concept of balancing a stitch top to bottom is really in some ways kind of backwards. Because as we're looking at this lock stitch, it's closest to the bobbin case. So a lot of people make the false assumption that the bobbin case is going to be controlling the output of what we see right now with this lock stitch. It doesn't. The bobbin case is going to control that top stitch. So right now what we're seeing with an over accentuated lock stitch, that bobbin case is losing the battle. It's doing its best to define that top stitch, which is what the bobbin case does, but it's not as poppy as this, because that top stitch control, this little bugger right there, is flexing its muscles right now on 7, and it's saying, no, I ain't gonna yield to you, I ain't gonna do it, I ain't gonna do it. And so it's pulling up that thread to define that lock stitch, and it's flexing its upper tension muscles, and it's doing really a great job, but it's over flexing. So we're going to say, no, back off, buddy. You're no more important than the bobbin case. You can't work without the bobbin case. You guys got to work together. So what we would do in this case, to take a little bit away from that lock stitch to give back to the top stitch, is we would go to that upper tension as it's screaming and kicking and fighting, saying, don't touch me, don't touch me. And we would back it from 7 down to about 6.5. And then what you would see happen all of a sudden is you would see that this lock stitch would still be nicely defined, but it would be less defined, or I should say it would no longer be over accentuated. And then all of a sudden we would flip it around and we would look at that top stitch, and that top stitch would be perfectly balanced with the lock stitch, simply because we took a little bit away from the upper tension so we could give back to that top stitch. And there's nothing wrong with the top stitch right now. It's a decent looking top stitch, but it could be even more pronounced if we, again, we're looking at the top stitch now. I just flipped it over. It could even be more pronounced if we backed off that upper tension a little bit, so that bobbin case would be able to flex its muscles a little bit better and pull down and define that top stitch better. So again, in summary, the upper tension is going to define this lock stitch that we're looking at right now. Okay? This is all controlled by the upper tension, this lock stitch. The bobbin case is going to define this top stitch that we're looking at right now. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, and even if you're a veteran sewer, if you're like, okay, I get it now, that makes sense. I know what I need to do if I'm sewing a particular type of material, using a particular type of needle, using a particular type of thread on a particular type of day, and I'm having trouble balancing the stitch. That Scott dude in Wisconsin, yo baby! That makes sense. So if you want to type yo baby or yep or smiley face or yeah baby or something like that in the chat to signify that this little brief tutorial again on balancing stitches, blah, top stitch, lock stitch, type something in there so I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I did that. And especially on a vegan style leather, where you have a combination of leather and vinyl, knowing how to balance that stitch from top to bottom is even more essential, because vinyl will mess around with you all day long. It's going to mess around with you all day long and go, ha 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 ha, I'm going to win. No, you're not. Because my friends that are part of this classroom are smarter than you are. And they're going to go, okay, I got something with some vinyl in it. Boom, done. Perfect stitch. Boom, done. Using leather. Boom, done. Denim. Boom, done. Whatever it is. Because as soon as you figure out the tug of war principle between that upper tension, defining that lock stitch and pulling up, and that bobbin case, which we can't even see because it's down there somewhere, that bobbin case pulling down to define that top stitch, as soon as you understand that concept, as hard as that vinyl will try to mess with you, it's never, ever going to win. Never going to win. Yeah. Ooh. No, I'm flexing a little bit, having a sense of victory over that vinyl. Yeah. That vinyl is not going to win. All right, what's next? Looking for another song. We just did Christmas Homecoming, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. Yeah, we did. So now we're going to do a song that pretty much all of us know. We Wish You a Merry Christmas. Oh, this is fun. I'm going to turn this up. This is awesome. I love this song. We might play this one twice too. All right, so a definite victory on these 2 layers of vegan leather. Throw that to the back with the cowhide and with the elk hide. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings. Oh, wait, I'm ahead. I'm sorry. All right, let's do some denim. Let's do some denim. Tidings we bring, you and your king. Good tidings of Christmas and a Happy New Year. Come on, everybody, sing with me. Don't leave me out here hanging by myself. You too, Dr. Singer. I know you can sing. All right, we're going to be doing 6 layers of denim. 6 layers of denim, folks. So I'm starting with 2 layers. I'm going to fold it in the middle, getting us up to 4. Turn my screen around. And then fold it one more time to get us up to 6. But I'm going to refold it because that was kind of messy. So 4 layers, and now 6 layers. So that's what 6 layers of denim looks like from the side. I know, it's crazy! All right, let's do a straight stitch down one side, and then I will attempt a zigzag down the other side. All right, here we go. He's attempting to do another very complicated dive. All right, 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Here we go. All right, here we go. Yep, I know, that was, I didn't think he was going to make it. I didn't think he was going to make it through that, but he did. Somehow he did it, he pulled it off. That's why they call him the sewing machine whisperer, because he does things that look like they're absolutely impossible, but he somehow accomplishes them. I don't know how he does it. We're going to study him more. We're going to study this guy more and see if we can figure out his secret. His secret. Guys, there's no secret. There's no secret. I heard you. I heard you talking over there. I heard you talking. There's no secret to getting a machine like Toots's to sew at this level and do things so doggone ridiculously easy. The secret is hard work. The secret is 126 steps of going from bobbin to balance wheel on this machine and scrutinizing and addressing and adjusting and cleaning and deep cleaning everything that needs to be cleaned on this machine, not cutting any corners. That's the secret. Okay? He did hear us talking. I don't know how. He's got good hearing too. I don't know. How did I go from like a normal secretive type whisper to a New Yorker? I don't know. I always go New York. I always go New York! All right, let's do a zigzag down this other side. See how Toots's machine does on 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Here we go. Jiminy crickets, Scott. You got so excited there. You were so New York that you like went off the material. Calm down, buddy. Calm down. Breathe. All right, let's take a look at these stitches. Again, we're talking 6 layers of heavy grade denim. There goes my computer again. I get people that contact me regularly, and they're like, all I'm trying to do, I picked up one of those Walmart machines, and all I'm trying to do is 2 layers or 3 layers of denim. All I'm trying to do is 2 or 3 layers of denim, and this thing won't do it. What's up? Well, I could explain that in simple terms, like you bought a crappy machine, but I'll just say, check your thread balance. Yeah. See who's winning the tug of war. Maybe that'll do it for you. No, it's not going to do it for you. Stay vintage. Go vintage, right? Go vintage! So here we have 6 layers of heavy grade denim. We started with the straight stitch. We then did the zigzag. We're going to look at both of them at the same time. I'm just going to kind of pan across and pan back. And then we'll flip it over and look at the lock stitch. Look at that from the side. Can you see that? Let me stop wiggling the camera. Then you'll be like, yeah, now I can see it now and there. I know I can see it now there. 6 layers of denim, guys, is heavy grade sewing. I mean, that's like let's rock and roll. And as we pan back, notice the balance, the stitch definition, the stitch formation, exactly as it should be. So that tells you as you're looking at this stitching and you're going, oh my gosh, that's gorgeous, Scott. That's gorgeous, man. We're looking at the top stitch. Who should we clap for as far as producing a beautiful top stitch like that? Who should we clap for? The upper tension or the bobbin case? Type it in the chat. As I pick out another Christmas holiday type song, type it in the chat. We're looking at a gorgeous top stitch right now. Who should we clap for? Upper tension or bobbin case? Type it in the chat. All right, we just did We Wish You a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. Okay, now we'll do. All right, we're gonna crank it up a little bit now. Hip hop Christmas, baby. Hip hop Christmas. I know I said it wrong, Dr. Singer. I haven't had coffee yet. Yes, I'm talking about the coffee thing again. It's important. Show a little bit of compassion. You're a doctor, for goodness sakes. Bedside manner, man. Bedside manner. Hip Hop Christmas. See, I said it right that time. Yeah. Put your hands up. Reggie. Yeah, Reggie, you got it, man. Yeah. Reggie's doing it. Reggie is doing it totally. Reggie White. Yeah. Nice job, man. We've never seen you dance before, man. You got some moves. Come on, do a little turn for us. Oh man, you are something. Look at you. All right, well done. Well done. Yeah. Okay, here's the answer if you didn't already type it in the chat, because I'm not looking at the chat. We would clap for the bobbin case, because the bobbin case is pulling that thread down to define that top stitch. So if you got it right, give yourself a clap along with that bobbin case. All right, let's turn it around and take a look at that lock stitch. All right, now we're looking at the lock stitch. Let's take a close look at that and see if we have something that is brag-worthy. Yes, we do. That is brag-worthy. Stitch formation, stitch integrity, stitch presentation, the glory of the stitch. All right, let's look at the totality of the stitching. Again, this is our lock stitch. All right, because you guys are super duper smart, type in the chat, who are we going to clap for having a drop dead gorgeous lock stitch, which is what we're looking at right now in these 6 layers of heavy grade denim. Is it the bobbin case that defines the lock stitch, or is it the upper tension that defines the lock stitch that we're looking at right now, which is fantastic? All right, another tune, and you type in the chat. We're looking at the lock stitch again. Who do we clap for, the upper tension or the bobbin case? All right, the next one we're doing is called Canon and Variation. Canon and Variation. All right, I'm not going to give you as much time this time because you guys are super smart. And I'm just going to say this. We're looking at a drop dead gorgeous lock stitch. We want to clap for the upper tension, because the upper tension is doing a great job. It's no longer flexing and trying to be a bully. It's working with that bobbin case beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. Oh yeah. All right, let's throw these 6 layers of denim to the back. And let's do another stitch off. I think we'll do a little bit of canvas, and I will probably do a zigzag. Let's do a zigzag. Beautiful song. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. All All right, only 2 layers. We're not sewing anything super crazy here. 2 layers of genuine dirty canvas. That's really macro. Looks like it's molting. All right, let's lay down a zigzag going down these 2 layers of commercial grade canvas. Commercial grade canvas. Here we go. And if you have a Husqvarna, sometimes when you're trying to get that thread to feed after you've done a sew off, it'll sometimes battle you a little bit. Most people always try rocking the balance wheel to the front. Try doing the opposite and rocking it to the back as you're gently pulling that thread. You'll find that you'll get a lot better result. Turn my screen around. So this is our top stitch right here for these 2 layers. Beautiful top stitch, but I can see, I kind of peeked at the back, I can see that we probably on this material will want to increase our upper tension just slightly because we have a couple of loops on the back that are not as tight as they should be. You'll see what I mean. So that's a beautiful top stitch. Now we'll turn it over. And all in all, we've got a very good looking lock stitch. That's what we're looking at right now. Again, the lock stitch is going to be defined by that upper tension control, right? So all in all, I'm very pleased. Exactly as it should look. But right on the end, which was probably our launch point, there's a couple loops right down here that could be a little bit tighter. And we would accomplish that by doing what? If we've got a lock stitch that's a little bit loosey-goosey, what do we need to do to tighten it up just a little bit? Type it in the chat, would you? So that is a definite pass, a beautiful 2 layers of commercial grade type canvas. If I said vinyl before, I meant canvas. I think I said canvas, but if I didn't, it's canvas! Oh yeah, we could do that. True. True. We did a zigzag, but we could also lay down a straight stitch next to it. Might as well. Look at all that open space. You know what I mean? It's environmentally responsible to do that. To think, okay, this is our, there we go. All right, let's lay down a straight stitch next to it. And instead of doing a large straight stitch, let's do a much shorter straight stitch. And I'm going to widen the shot so I can actually show you me making the adjustment. And it's not to insult your intelligence because you're very, very smart. But for our newbies that are just starting and maybe they just got a Swedish Beauty, covering the basics is something we sometimes assume we don't have to do, but we should. Let's play the canon and variation one more time. The canon and variation one more time. All right, let's come out of this shot. Kind of like come right about there. Yeah. And then we'll zoom in on it when we're done. That frog will not go away. Go away, frog, go away. Okay, so if we're going to go from doing a zigzag, which we just did, to a straight stitch, we've got to adjust our stitch width, which is this control right here. So we're going to take it from 4 all the way down to 0. And this is our stitch length up here with our reverse. So we're going to adjust our stitch length from 4 all the way down. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. We're going to adjust it from 4 all the way down to 2. We're not going to do a thing with our needle position. We're going to leave it exactly as it is. Okay? So let's buzz down with a much shorter straight stitch. And we'll see how Toots, not Toots, blah, Toots. We'll see how Toots' machine does. You know? I shouldn't have said Toots. That's a totally different name. Sorry! All right, here we go. We're getting pretty close to that satin range. I wouldn't say we're quite there. We're really close. Really close. And remember, we can go all the way down to like 0.5. We can actually go below 0.5 with this Swedish Beauty. Right now we're only on 2. We're only on 2 for stitch length. Yeah, and I'm seeing by this stitch off right now that bobbin case is losing the battle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew down one more time. I'm going to make an adjustment so we get better definition on the top stitch, which is going to be controlled by that bobbin case, and I'm going to do that by backing off our upper tension just slightly. Oh, we're still wide. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. So we're on 7. I'm going to back it down to about 6. All right, let's do it one more time. All right, here we go. Same. Everything else has stayed the same. We're on 0. We're on 2. Needle position is center. All we're going to do is give a little bit more victory back to that top stitch because right now we're not getting enough definition. All right, here we go. And that happens when you're dealing with a real short stitch like this. It's almost in the satin range, and that hook is having to come around so much quicker. You sometimes have to make a little tweak to give a little bit benefit to getting that stitch balance. All right, here we go. Oh yeah. Yeah. See that? If you know what to do, it's easy to fix it. Unlike most plumbing projects. If you're a plumber, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You end up coming in and fixing what someone else messed up. All right, this is I love this thread from Joann Fabrics, but it does get a little curly sometimes. Be good, be good. You're on camera, for goodness sakes. You're on camera. Okay. Yeah, I would probably even go a little bit further, but that's going the right direction. That's going the right direction. I would probably adjust that upper tension all the way down to probably 5.5 or 5 if I was going to sew a bunch of this stuff. All right, let's take a look at these. All right, let's look at the top stitch first. Yeah, that was a pretty song. That was pretty. That again was canon and variation. We heard that twice. Canon, and variation. I've got to. When I don't have coffee, my diction. I know I'm talking about coffee again. When I don't have coffee, my diction and enunciation isn't quite as clear. Got to work on that. Got to work on that. All right, let's go down here and take a look at these stitches. I don't know why I'm whispering. It's just fun. Just fun a little bit. Okay, we'll look at it from right about there. Okay, so the first stitch off we did was obviously the zigzag on the top. Again, we're looking at the top stitch right now. The second row down is the first row of straight stitching we did. The bottom row is the last row we did, where I made a little bit of an adjustment in backing off that upper tension because the bobbin case was losing the battle in defining that top stitch. So let's take a look and see what we have. And again, I would make a little bit more of an adjustment, but I think we're going the right direction. All right, let's look at the totality of the stitching. So I think all in all, this 19E that belongs to Toots not Toots, Toots did a fabulous job with these 2 layers of commercial grade canvas. The only thing that I would change is I would probably even decrease that upper tension a little bit more so that that bobbin case can pull down harder and define that top stitch more. Now when you get almost in the near satin range, it's going to be a lot harder to battle that tension issue, just because again that hook is coming around so quickly and laying down such a tight cluster of stitching. It just becomes a little bit more, depending on the material you're using, how much sewing you've done on the needle. You already saw the sewing that I had already done on the needle off camera. All of this stuff was done off camera with this machine, with this needle, before we went into this live premiere. So the needle also might be, even though my Schmetz needles are pretty much bulletproof, that Schmetz needle might even be getting a little bit tired. But if we wanted to find that top stitch even more, the easiest solution is back off that upper tension a little bit more. We're down to right around 6 right now. If I were going to be sewing a bunch of this stuff, I would drop it down to 5.5 probably. And that would probably give us exactly what we're looking for in defining that top stitch without totally stealing everything away from that lock stitch. Let's look at the lock stitch and see what we have right now with the current settings. And I think you'll kind of see what I mean. We're still getting more pop factor with that lock stitch than we are with the top stitch. So that's telling me we can take that upper tension down even further than we already have. See what I mean? So that's the simple solution, is when you're getting, kind of like we did on that other sew-off, you're getting stitching that on one side of the material is overemphasized. It's a matter of taking some of that victory away from that stitch. So right now we're getting a little bit more overemphasis on that lock stitch. It's a good looking lock stitch. Don't misinterpret. But we're losing the battle on that top stitch a little bit right now. So we're going to back off. If we're doing more of this, we're going to back off that upper tension a little bit more so that that bobbin case can pull down more to define that top stitch. We just don't want to go too far, because then we'll lose the definition we're getting right now on this lock stitch. Does that make sense? So, really good looking lock stitch. Not a horrible looking top stitch at all, but I like to aim for perfection, because if we don't aim for perfection, if we lower that bar and we say, oh, it's okay, we're going to continue to lower our standards. So we want to have the highest standards possible. We got some real good stitching. That again is our lock stitch. This again is our top stitch. But good enough is not what we aim for in this workshop. We aim for near perfection. So if we want to aim for near perfection, we do a slight adjustment of that upper tension down to about 5.5, and we are going to be slamming it. We're going to be slamming it! So a definite pass on these 2 layers of commercial grade canvas. We'll throw that to the rear. Move our thread supporter. Our sew-off supporter, I should say, not thread supporter. Well, of course there is thread on the sew-off, so I'm not totally wrong, Dr. Singer. Thanks for pointing that out, buddy. All right, so what do we do last? This thing keeps cycling back up, so I have to keep rotating it back down again. We did Canon and variation. Now we're going to do, holy cow, we got 2 different versions of Jingle Bells. We'll do the first Jingle Bells, and we're going to be doing some of that compressed felt now, compressed felt. This is fun. All right, let's do some compressed felt. Oh, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel and Joker got away. Hey, I know those aren't the words. That's what we sang as kids. All right, let's do it. Oh, I love having a playroom. Oh, I think I'm going to turn my heater back on. It's getting kind of chilly down here. Sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, rockin' lady. The Batmobile lost a wheel and Joker got away. Boom, 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 boom. All right, let's do 3 layers of this, and we'll probably lay down a zigzag. So there's 1 layer, 2 layers. Fold it one more time, and we're up to 3 layers of compressed felt. Look at this from the side. Once I fold it straight, you can look at it from the side. That's crazy thick, folks. It really is. And if you follow me faithfully, you know that on one of the premieres, I actually broke a Schmetz needle sewing this stuff. So it is not easy peasy at all. But it's also great for picking up lint. What's up with that? Yeah, that was a boom song. I love that. That was the first version of Jingle Bells. Let's do this off and then we'll listen to the second one. So let's lay down a zigzag first, and then we will lay down a straight stitch next to it, I think. Possibly. Maybe. You never know. Alright, and I'm going to mess around with the zigzag a little bit because this compressed felt is tricky stuff. Instead of going with the widest setting on the stitch width, I'm going to go from 4 over to 3.5. Just to try to keep it real. You know what I mean? Let's keep it real! Alright, here we go. 3 layers of compressed felt with a zigzag. Width setting is at 3.5. Wait, that's not what I meant. Stitch length is at 3.5. The width is still at 4. Alright, we got it. Okay. Oh, and I should adjust that back. Okay, here we go. Kind of babying that foot control a little bit. I could have given it a little bit more gusto, but I'm still like, this stuff broke one of my Schmetz needles. I gotta take it easy. Gotta take it easy. Yeah, you can't hurt us. You can't hurt us. Compressed felt. You probably could, but you won't. Because you're good compressed felt. All right, let's take a look at this. Well, actually, we'll do the straight stitch and then we'll take a look at both of them. Let's do that. Okay, so that's correct. I'm just checking my alignment there. Now let's do a straight stitch down the other side. Alright, here we go. 3 layers of compressed felt. We did a zigzag first. Now we're going to lay down a straight stitch. Alright, here we go. Alright. Let me clip these threads and we will take a look. We will take a look and see what we got. See what we got. I think I will use my thread holder for this. My sew-off thread holder. Alright, I'm just double checking here. Yep, that's correct. So this is our top stitch. We're going to look at that first. This is our top stitch. All right, let's put on our second Jingle Bell song. I'm curious what this one is like. I've never heard it before. All right. Beautiful stitching, beautiful stitching. Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost a wheel and Joker got away. Boom, 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 boom. All right, there's our totality of stitching. Gorgeous, gorgeous job. And again, we would clap for the bobbin case. The bobbin case is defining this top stitch. Let's flip it over. Take a look at that lock stitch. Jingle all the way. See, I can sing the real words. All right, let's take a look at this lock stitch now. So this is our lock stitch. Absolutely spot on. Stitch formation, stitch alignment, stitch presentation. It just doesn't get any better than that. It's absolutely textbook perfect. We're talking page 34. Page 34. I should get a t-shirt made with page 34 and people just, what do you mean by page 34? What do you think? Should I do that? Type in the chat if you think we should get t-shirts made that say page 34. Which is pointing towards the goal of always getting a perfect stitch, which is what we're looking at on Toots' machine right now. Isn't that amazing? But that's where all the work comes into play. You know, I was joking before, that little whisper thing going on with someone saying, what's his secret? What is Scott's secret? Why do Scott's machines that have been in the workshop, why are they stronger? Why are they so better? Why do they lay down stitches that look better than any other stitches that we can find? It's because of the work. You can't shortcut quality work. You got to do it right or you got to go home. So to do stitching like this, especially through a compressed material like this, which is incredibly tricky stuff to sew without getting distorted or getting skip stitches. It's just like sewing some of the nylons and some of the vinyls. I mean, they're super tricky when it comes to messing around with the stitches. If you want to get stitching like this, you got to put the time into the machine. And if you don't have the knowledge on how to do that, if you don't know all 126 steps, which no one knows that, except for me. Well, maybe, okay, all right. The boys know too, but they're not talking. They're not talking. Their mouths are sealed. Literally, they are. But, you know, if you don't have the knowledge, then you take the incentive and an initiative like so many of you have, because you're so doggone smart, to say, I don't know what to do, but I want those results. Then you pack up your machine, or like Toots, you drop it off at the workshop if you can do that, and I will do that for you. And you will walk away with a Swedish Beauty or any machine sewing at the top of its game. So these 3 layers of compressed felt are an absolute pass. Just beautiful stitching by this 19E from 1961. And thank you again, Hans. Thank you again, Hans, for helping me confirm the date of this machine. Isn't it great to have a resource like Hans and Bill and Sonny now on the team to bring their talents and their knowledge to make us that much smarter, to make us that much better at what we do. I couldn't do it alone. There's no way. I did it alone for a long time, and since I've had the opportunity and I've been blessed to get Hans and Bill and Sonny working with me, we're so much better than we were before. We've always been solid, but we get even better. It's like a recipe. You could be making a recipe and you'll put 3 out of 5 ingredients in. And you know what? It's not bad with 3 ingredients. It's pretty good. But as soon as you add those other ingredients, those final ingredients, and you mix it up and you take that little spoonful, oh, this is so perfect. And that's what we have now. And who knows, maybe we'll add another. Maybe we'll add another moderator. And if any of you are like, yeah, I saw Sunny step down to the shadows and she's really making it happen. And Hans and Bill, I'd like to be a part of that team. You know what? If you'd like to be a part of that team, reach out and say, I'd like to be a moderator. I'd like to be a moderator on the Facebook business page. Be a part of that really cool, exclusive team, you know, to be able to be a resource to people around the world. I mean, you see it at the live premieres. We've got fantastic folks that join us from around the world. Same thing with questions we get. One of the first questions that Sonny had to help with as a brand new moderator came from Paris, France. How fun is that? To be able to chat with somebody that's in Paris, France. Super cool, super cool. Yeah, baby. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is called Jesus, Joy of Man's Desire. I think that's how it's pronounced, isn't it? Jesus? It almost sounds Spanish. All right, if I'm getting it wrong, you guys know what I mean. All right, here we go. Our final show-off on this 1961 Husqvarna Viking, or Viking Husqvarna, depending on which way you have the pointing the mirror. If you're pointing the mirror one way, it's Viking. If you point the mirror the other way, it's Husqvarna first. It doesn't matter. They work together like the bobbin, case, and the upper tension. It doesn't matter who's first. It just matters that we cross the finish line, right? Right? If you agree with that, type an amen or a smiley face or something in the chat. It doesn't matter if you're in first position or second position, as long as you pass the finish line together. So Viking, Husqvarna, Husqvarna, Viking, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. All right, so let's do our final show off, which is this new, fairly scary acrylic fiber stuff that they use to make awnings out of. It feels like sandpaper. It's tougher than leather because it has to stand up against the winds and getting stretched and pulled and all that. It's nasty stuff. Why the heck am I even going to sew this? Everything else has gone so well, and now you're going to goof it up with a final sew-off on acrylic fiber? Really? Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, let's do it. Why not? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if you've never seen it before, this is acrylic fiber. It is crazy stuff. If you feel it, it feels like sandpaper. It feels like it's got cotton, it's got vinyl, it's got nylon. I don't know what it has in it, but it's designed for awnings, so you can only imagine how strong they're going to make this stuff. Crazy strong. So we're going to try to go through 3 layers of it, just like the compressed felt. I'm going to fold it over. Again, it doesn't look thick, and it's not, but it's like sewing patio blocks, folks. We're going to try a zigzag and a straight stitch, and that will be our final sew-off on this 1961 Viking Husqvarna, Husqvarna Viking 19E. A little bit nervous. I don't think I've ever done 3 layers before. I think I did 2 before. A little bit nervous. All right, let's lay down the straight stitch, and then we'll jump into the zigzag. And again, whenever you incorporate needle swing, like with a zigzag or a lot of the decorative utility type stitches, you immediately raise the threshold of difficulty, because that needle has to not only pierce, but it's got to swing back and forth as it's trying to pierce through those 3 layers of acrylic fiber. Not easy at all. But you know what? After 12 plus hours and 126 steps. We got this. We got it. Here we go. Perfectly timed with the end of that song. I think it's Hey Sue Joy, a Man's Desire. It's something like that. It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful song. A traditional Christmas type song. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. All right, now for our final row of stitching on this 1961 Husqvarna Viking. Viking Husqvarna 19E. We're going to lay down a zigzag stitch. And on 3 layers of acrylic fiber, that difficulty level is up through the roof. So keep your fingers, toes crossed. And don't even breathe when we do this. Hold your breath. Hold your breath with me. I'm going to hold my breath too. All right, here we go. All right, breathe now. Breathe, breathe, breathe. All of the sewing that we did on this Schmetz needle, is there any wonder at all why I am a Schmetz guy? I'm going to show you all the stitching that we did on this one needle. It's just absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. And then I'm going to wrap this premiere up and I'm going to go get my coffee. Anybody else want to join me for coffee? Yeah, we should all grab coffee together. I think that would be awesome. Okay, we're looking at our top stitch first. I should probably flip it like this since we did the straight stitch and then we did the zigzag. So we're going to look at the top stitch first. I'm going to pick out one last Christmas piece. And then we're going to wrap this premiere up. And my computer's locked up, so maybe I will pick one more. Yes, I will. It freed up. Yay! So, Fairy Tale Waltz. Let's do, well, that's really short. Fairy Tale Waltz is super short. Deck the Halls. What else do we have? Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy. Bethlehem. Oh, yeah, let's do this one. It's 2 minutes and 25. Well, let's do this one. Angels We Have Heard. It's 4 minutes and 4 seconds, so that should give us enough time to wrap this up, okay? Here we go. Okay, let's take a look at these stitches. Again, this is 3 layers of acrylic fiber. This stuff, folks, it's super, super hard to sew. I could say what I normally say: stitch formation, stitch integrity, stitch presentation, blah, blah, blah. Perfection. Perfection. Page 34. Page 34. Folks, that's exactly what we want to be seeing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Never done 3 layers of acrylic fiber before. I was nervous. But you guys said, you got this, Scott. You got this, Scott. Let's look at that lock stitch. 34. Page 34. In excelsis Deo glory. Beautiful, beautiful. Totality of the stitching. That's our lock stitch again, folks. Lock stitch coming through material like this, through layers of acrylic fiber with needle swing. Are you kidding me? And to have stitching like this, I'm so proud of my process. This is what you get. Very cool, very cool. All right, I'm gonna move all of these sew-offs that we did live to the front, and along with it, all the sew-offs I did off camera to give you an idea of how amazing this needle and machine have done working together. So I'm gonna set those right there. So these are all the sew-offs I did over here off camera. I already kind of flipped through those. You can see them. Look at that stack. And these are all the ones we did on the live premiere today. And I'll come out on the shot a little bit. We'll kind of throw them up on the bed as we look at... that's such a beautiful song. I think I'll play that one more time as we wrap this premiere up. Play it one more time. So just real quick, I'm just going to zip through these. So not in order, kind of backwards order. Acrylic fiber, 3 layers, perfection. 3 layers of compressed felt, perfection. 6 layers of heavy grade denim, same thing. 2 layers of commercial grade canvas, spot on. 2 layers of vegan leather, exactly as it should be. Single layer of genuine cowhide, we went around and around and around, just spot on. And then last but certainly not least, 2 layers of genuine elk hide, and this 19E just didn't miss a beat the whole time. And then this is all we did. I'll just kind of show you again. This is all I did off camera. Combination of all of the same things minus the acrylic fiber. Any question as to why I love Schmetz needles? To be able to sew all of this and then move into all of that and get the results that we did. Wow. Wow! Holy mackerel! Amazing, amazing. I never got to this. I was going to show you guys how to take this apart. I'll do that in another premiere. I didn't forget. I just feel like we've run long enough. But these can be a little bit tricky, so I'll show you that. Remind me.